The Forgotten Realms are home to many a strange and fearsome creature. Here, we aim to discuss them all. Go not blindly into the unknown, adventurer. Join us in Browsing the Bestiary.
Welcome back to Browsing the Bestiary, a podcast
Welcome back.
that takes an in-depth look at all those creatures that put the monster in Monster Manual, the beast in Bestiary, and of course, the dragons in Dungeons & Dragons.
Of course.
I'm Dungeon Mistress Jayde.
And I am Lore Master Andy. And we are back after our hiatus. Man, it feels good to be back. It was rough. It was rough. I missed you all.
Yeah, how's your leg doing?
Oh yes, after that vicious attack. Which if you want to learn about that, listeners, look at our post on the Patreon about what happened. But I'm doing better. The attack left me scarred and mutilated, much like Senator Palpatine in what was it, the third Star Wars prequel?
Yeah.
It was
Yes.
Revenge of the Sith, right? Yeah. But no, yes, our listeners don't know, but I needed surgery. So yeah, my meniscus was torn, my ACL was obliterated. That had to be completely rebuilt from a graft somewhere else in my leg. It's gross, is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm about 3 weeks out. As of recording, I'm about 3 weeks out from surgery. I'm doing a lot of physical therapy. My leg is in a brace. I have 6 different incisions that are all healing. It's a time. A lot of bruising. My leg, parts of it look a little bit like a rotten banana. It's great. It's disgusting. Yes. My plea to all the listeners, do your strengthening exercises, right? Do your squats, do your side lunges, do all the things so that your legs are nice and stable. Get yourself a nice strong core, because you don't want this, right? When that pixie hits you, you want to be able to just like flex all of your, from the waist down, and it will explode. I guess I gave it away. I was attacked by a pixie.
It was a vicious pixie.
It was.
They're all vicious, but this one was extra.
They are. Yes. Yeah. The only thing I remember from the attack was, that's what happens when you mess with acorn. It's the only thing I remember. So,
we'll get our revenge one of these days.
That's right. That's right. I will make a pixie trap. What do they eat? Gummy bears? I don't know.
We'll figure that out on the pixie episode.
That's right. Yes, I'll bait the trap. I'll put glue in it. You've not heard the last from Lore Master Andy Acorn, is all I'm saying. But yes, that's where I've been. That's where I've been. With just kind of the recovery process and everything. It was just not possible for me to record anything. As we speak, my leg is braced under my desk, and it is varying degrees of comfortability. Although I can partially bend it now, so that's cool.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes, they let me unlock the brace if I'm not standing or moving. So,
okay.
Yeah. No, I was pretty proud of myself at my last physical therapy, which was today. I could bend the knee 56 degrees. Oh yeah.
6 more degrees than last time.
That's right. Which is funny because like the day of surgery, they like send you home. They're like, all right, well, make sure you don't bend it past 90. I'm like, bro, I wish I could bend it to 90. That would be cool. I would love that. I could sit so much more comfortably, but
Oof. Yeah.
But that's me. That's my update. Jayde, what's new with you?
I'm gonna have a busy few weeks seeing friends and family. We got some guy friends from our Discord visiting, and then my sister's coming the following week, and then the week after that is my friend's 30th birthday. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
exciting.
Gonna be a busy few weeks. I think I'm gonna be socialed out for a while.
It's like I need my big Pikachu pillow. I need my couch, I need my pets. Everybody else, shut up.
Shut up.
But that all sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And yes, I wish you good friending and good socializing within what you can tolerate. Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, we of course are coming back in with something a little off the beaten path today.
You could see our faces.
You can see our faces.
Well, on
That's
YouTube.
right. On YouTube, yes. This is us in the flesh. We're trying our hand at video podcasting, and if this goes well, then look forward to more of that. And if it doesn't, then we need to figure out how to use OBS better.
Yeah, it's been a journey. It is not intuitive as like DaVinci is.
No, this is definitely why like the professional outfits have like people that they hire to like, run all of the video and stuff like that, but it's okay. It's okay. We do well. We're a capable team of two.
Yes.
Usually.
We're figuring it out as we go.
Yes.
Should we know this better as adults? I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't
figure it
know. Is that standard knowledge? I don't know. But either way, we figured out the audio, so now we can figure out the video. Yes, we can be taught. Okay. Speaking of being off the beaten path, Jayde, what are we rolling today? Figure out what our creature is.
I thought these ones were kind of appropriate. We're gonna be able to see them, but they're very tiny.
Oh, they are. They're so cute and little.
It's not zooming. Okay, I'm not good at this, but anyway, they're tiny, clear dice with like little stars in them.
Ooh, kind of like a crystal sphere.
Yeah. So it's our set.
Oh, love
I'm
that.
gonna shake it up and see what we get today.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. 13. That seems fitting.
Ooh, a 13, yes, which you're going to want, high rolls if you are coming up against the subject of this episode. Because today we are going to be talking about the Sirloin.
The Sirloin.
Ooh. Yes, I know, which for like normal, just Forgotten Realms D&D people, it's like, what the hell is that? Well, we, for better or for worse, are here to tell you. So according to the 5th edition supplement Boo's Astral Menagerie, quote, Sirloins are malevolent worm-like creatures that live on the astral plane. A fully grown specimen is 7 feet long. They have legs that end in hooves and arms that end in hands with 3 long fingers. A sirloin's eyeless head resembles that of an earthworm, capped by a maw ringed with teeth. Sirloins adorn themselves in richly colored robes and rarely wear armor or carry weapons. End quote. So yes, now if you remember, dear listeners, whenever we're talking about something from Boo's Astral Menagerie, that is of course the 5th edition reworking of stuff from the Spelljammer setting. So of course, we're getting into Spelljammer, we're getting into weird stuff. This is of course not a native denizen of the Forgotten Realms, not of A.B. or Toril. It be an alien. It's not be from around here. That's all we're saying.
Yes, and even its history is kind of unusual, which we'll get into in our origin section.
Yes. Yeah, please tell us more about that, Jayde, because I was not prepared when we started researching.
Right?
I was like, oh, okay, this goes a lot of different places, none of which are standard.
No.
To say the least.
I feel like only really the hardcore fans will know about this world, basically.
Yes. Which, shout out to Nano, one of our listeners, for figuring out what the creature was.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just from context clues. He had no idea what can of worms we would be unearthing with this one. But yes, shout out. You get inspiration. Spend it wisely.
Yes. All right, now to get into this origin section, of course, we're going to do something a little bit different because instead of trying to find some equivalent to a spacefaring worm-like humanoid monster that uses its mind powers to subjugate other enemies. We're instead going to talk about where Sirlons first get introduced, which is in Dark Sun.
Ooh, yes. Okay.
So Dark Sun is probably one of the most unique and underutilized campaign settings in D&D. The setting for Dark Sun can be described as I personally would describe it as this. Some other people describe it differently, but I would describe it as the bastard child of Greyhawk and Spelljammer.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And
Mhm.
I even go further because when I describe it to people, they're like, "What is this artwork?" I'm like, "Well, it's kind of like Mad Max meets
Mm.
Conan the Barbarian."
Yes. Yeah, it's a very much a mix of that. And it does have a formal genre name, which is a sword and planet setting. So that's one way you can look up more stories like that. Uh,
Very unique.
yes, very, very unique. However, before we talk about the inside lore of Dark Sun, we want to talk about the outside lore. So, the first Dark Sun box set was published in 1991. Its development as a campaign setting came at a pretty opportune time during second edition era. Dragonlance as a setting was getting up there in age. It was around 4 to 5 years old at this point, and the higher ups at TSR wanted something new.
Of course.
Mhm. So, and they also wanted something that would coincide with the release of the second edition of Battle System and the new Complete Psionics Handbook.
Which we've
Mm.
talked about psionics, right? Go back to our Bullywugs episode for some of that. But Jade, what's battle system?
I'm glad you asked, Andy. So, Battle System, published in 1985, was actually a supplement that added rules made for both AD&D and D&D to incorporate miniatures back into the game, right?
Okay.
So it was officially promoted as a successor to Chainmail, which, if you all
Oh,
remember, yep, Chainmail was the game before Gary Gygax made D&D. So it wanted to bring D&D back to those roots and have your miniatures actually do something besides demonstrate marching order, basically. So Battle System was pretty popular in those in the D&D community who liked wargaming, so much so that the original set won an H.G. Wells Award for Best Miniature Rules in
wow.
1985. Yes. And then it was added as a system, as an optional system for future modules. So,
Yeah, and here I thought, we just kept the minis around because, of the
they're
wargaming
cool.
roots.
Yes.
Silly me.
I know. I had no idea about this. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, bring back in the miniatures and make them do things. Which actually nowadays, there are D&D like professional or like competitive games where you do use the miniatures, and the miniatures have their own like stat blocks that are
Oh,
different from the monster stat blocks. Yeah. Yeah,
interesting.
you can do it at like Gen Con and other gaming conventions like that. So I thought, yeah, it's pretty neat. Um, so yes, the creators had to work with Battle System, and they also had to work with Psionics. So how are they going to make this work? Well, due to these simultaneous releases, Dark Sun had to be specifically designed to fit those two, right? So it was a big undertaking that many of the veteran TSR designers were reluctant to take on. There was actually an interview with one of the designers, Tim Brown, who recalled no one had raised their hand at the table when Steve Winter, who was the project lead on this, asked who wanted to work on a new campaign universe.
Oof. Oh, man. Ooh, talk about, rolling a nat 1 on your persuasion roll.
Yes.
Yes. Anybody? Nobody? Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
That sucks.
Tim Brown was like really surprised by this because he's like a whole new universe, but then again, it's also a whole new universe, so it's
Yeah.
just a lot of work to take in. So this time, the design team was made up of relative newcomers to TSR, though they're not newcomers to gaming, right? So we have Tim Brown, who we've heard of a few times in different supplements. He had actually moved from Games Design Workshop, which remember that's the originator of 40K.
Oh yeah, well yes, yep. Games Workshop. Now it's Games Workshop. But
No,
yes.
yes. And he moved to TSR, and then they also brought in a pretty renowned fantasy artist named Gerald Brom, who is just now referred to as Brom.
Yes.
He's pretty prolific. So they had plenty of unique and out of the box ideas for this.
Which, was good because, well, as we're going to talk about, Dark Suns, not at all similar to any of the other, settings. You have Greyhawk, well, yeah, okay, sword and sorcery, but like, all right, more kind of standard. You have Kryn. It's like, all right, we're like fighting dragons and shit. Okay. But not this one.
No, very different. And this setting, Dark Sun, before it was called that, was actually called War World.
Nice.
It was the working title, which I'm glad they did away with that, because that's
It's so 90s, man.
yeah, it's just a mouthful, kind of. So Dark Sun is like Andy said, a completely different setting than any of the previous, and honestly, any of future campaign settings that we've seen in D&D.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, as we said, it's a sword and planet type setting that takes place on the planet of Athos, where the typical medieval fantasy tropes are nowhere to be seen. Nada. The team was forced a little bit by the marketing team to add back in some of the fantasy elements, like elves and halflings and dragons, etc. But the designers actually thought this turned out for the better, because they were able to, quote, subtly or radically twist them in some way to give them a characteristically Athasian quality. So
yes, which we talk about. I know we'll talk about. I'm sure more Dark Sun specific races in the future, like the Thrycreen,
yes,
which are psionically empowered bug people. They're very cool. But like elves in this setting, right? Their whole thing is they just run everywhere. Yeah, they're like every day is a marathon and I'm running it. Or like the halflings in this setting are like basically like primitive like tribal society type, instead of like the shirelings that we're used to. And then there's a race of like demi-giants, which are kind of stand-ins for ogres that you can play as a character. It's very interesting. And yeah, everything feels, like you said, very, very different.
Yes.
And I guess has that quote unquote Athasian quality.
Yes. And like Andy was saying, there's a lot different with this, including the magic system. So getting into the lore of Athos, magic in Athos is not channeled through a god or through the weave, but it is created by converting, quote, the energy of life into magical power, end quote.
All life is a battery.
Yep. So you probably see where this is going, but eventually the overuse of this magic devastated the land, turning it into a barren desert wasteland where everyone is competing for basic resources like water and air.
It's not good, is all we can say.
No.
You don't want to live there.
No, you do not. Of all the worlds, I would not want to live in Dark Sun.
No. Easily the worst one. Not that like the Forgotten Realms is safe. Kryn, trauma. Eberron, hopefully you're living in one of the last cities. But no, yeah, this Dark Sun's bad. Don't go there.
Yes. And as for the surviving lands that still are there after the devastation, they're divided up into city-states now ruled by tyrannical and corrupt sorcerer kings.
Of course.
Of course. These sorcerer kings are powerful magic users or psionicists who claim to be gods in their own right and prolong their life through said, evil life-stealing magic and rule for hundreds of years. Standard.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. So these city-states are always warring with one another, hence where battle system is utilized in most of these large-scale battles. So
tying it all in, right?
yes.
And the war gamers rejoiced, we assume.
I assume they did, yeah, because I feel like the large-scale battles are never really utilized in most campaigns because no one really gets up to level 20 to get to that point, basically. But some do.
At this time, they're like, what? You think I painted these minis for nothing?
Yeah, we're using them. And I'm using this catapult mini as well.
Yes. Gary, put it away. No.
No.
I've had this for 20 years, god damn it.
I've made it into hill giants. I've made it into Yeah. So yes.
It has a +2 against structures, and I'm gonna use it.
Gotta bring back chainmail somehow. Good old days, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, that's how they brought in battle system, and as we mentioned, there are psionicists. So of course they brought in psionics, though while the Sorcerer Kings are the most powerful psionic users, it's actually virtually everyone in the world of Dark Sun can use psionics to some degree or another.
Which makes character creation a lot more complicated.
Yeah. I saw a couple of reviews in some of the Dragon magazines where they're like, yeah, this is kind of difficult. If everyone has psionics, then no one's special. To quote,
Who
The
wrote that
Incredibles.
review? Syndrome from The Incredibles?
Exactly. Yeah. So they're like, oh, even the lowliest of farmer has psionics. This doesn't make any sense. But it kind of does when you think about the world as a whole, which we'll get to. So yes, as we mentioned, Dark Sun psionics are specifically based on the rules established in the 1991 Complete Psionics Handbook, which are quite different from the rules established in Zero, D&D, and First Edition. So, psionic powers are broken into major powers, which are called sciences, and minor powers, which are called devotions. Now, the names of science and devotion can be a bit confusing, as science both acts as a name of a class and of the spells in said class.
Okay.
That makes sense, yeah. So essentially, sciences are spells, full-blown spells, and devotions are essentially cantrips. But some sciences can also be devotions. Does that make sense?
I'm very glad that this is, not convoluted in any way.
Yes, and it gets even worse because basically there are also 4 categories of sciences, right? So there's psychokinetic, psychometabolic, telepathic.
That was the British pronunciation.
Yes. Telepathic, and then psychoportive.
I don't even know what that's supposed to be.
I did not write that down, so I don't remember.
Is that like you teleport, but like using the powers of psionics?
I think
you're moving
so. I
through
think
space?
you're right. Yeah, we'll have to double check that one. But
Interesting.
yeah, so that's the 4 categories of sciences, and then there's the 5 categories of devotions, which are psychokinetic, psychometabolic, telepathic, psychoportive, and clairsentient. So it adds on that last one for devotions, because most of the cantrips are relatively weaker. So which type of science, aka class, you choose to specialize in will determine how many science, aka spells, and devotions, aka cantrips, you can learn.
Wow. Yeah,
Yes.
and modern DMs thought they had a lot of rules to memorize.
Yeah, if you want to add in psionics in the old days, good fucking luck. It's a mess. It's crazy.
Yeah. Second edition did not mess around.
Mm-mm.
As we've talked about in this podcast. Yeah, the game got a lot of developments, which is cool, but also Jesus Christ.
Yes. Now I feel like Psionics are a little lacking at this point. We need a good balance between like second and fifth edition, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, right. I feel like in fifth edition, and I get I'm the 5.5. The jury's out, but it really felt like in fifth edition, psionics were just kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
At least as far as like player options were concerned, because there was like the Psi Warrior fighter subclass, but like I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, and like the monsters too, like if you wanted to add psionics to make them stronger, it was just like a little extra stat block that kind of
Yeah. But
But yeah, so all said and done, that is very convoluted, and it's never not been convoluted. But we mainly wanted to mention it in those basics because Sirlons, which we're going to talk about, utilize psionics a lot. So, to finish up, Dark Sun as a campaign setting was and is still used very sparingly throughout D&D. It was created for 2E, but when, unfortunately, battle systems started losing popularity later on, so did Dark Sun, right? So much so that Dark Sun was not officially supported in 3rd edition or 3.5 by Wizards of the Coast, but instead was surprisingly kept alive under the open game license by Paizo Publishing.
ooh, nice job. Yes, this is why open licensing is great.
Yes. Paizo, after TSR fell through, they took over Dragon and Dungeon magazine. And they also, are the publishers of Pathfinder and Starfinder.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, they took over Dragon magazine in 2002. And through those magazines, Paizo designers published articles that updated Dark Sun to 3.5 rules and added more lore and modules. Thank you, Paizo.
Yes, and I mean Pathfinder's still going strong.
It is, yes.
So keep up the good work, folks. Keep Wizards on their toes is all we're saying.
Honestly, yeah. Thank goodness for that open gaming license. I'm glad they didn't, succeed in taking that away a few years ago.
Yeah.
Wizards,
which I know it's Hasbro. That's the final boss here, but
true.
Still wagging my finger at you, Wizards.
Yeah, don't do that.
Stop it.
So yes, Paizo took over Dark Sun in 3rd edition, and it was also further kept alive through a website called athos.org, a site where all Dark Sun materials are organized from rule books to novels, and where more lore and information are still being added to this day.
Ooh, love that. That's great.
Yeah, hopped over to their website to take a look. And they also have a podcast that talks about all things Dark Sun called Bone, Stone, and Obsidian. So go check them out. And, hopefully if you guys want to collab, we're here.
Yes, Bone, Stone, and Obsidian is an objectively just fantastic podcast name. I have to hand it to you. Well done. Yes, we'd love to collab. We'll your people can call our people, which is nice.
Yeah, DM us on Patreon. I don't know.
Yeah, we would love to talk about how them elves run in Dark Sun. Is all I'm saying.
That'd be a good 3 Kreen episode, I think.
Oh yeah, true.
They could tell us all their knowledge about those. Jeez. But yeah, so yeah, go check out that website if you want to learn more about Dark Sun. But after not getting much love from Wizards in 3.5, Dark Sun was eventually brought back in 4th edition with a bang, which totally makes sense since the world of Dark Sun is very 4E coded.
100%. Oh yeah.
Yeah, a new Dark Sun campaign setting book was released during this time, along with a new module called Marauders of the Dune Sea. And a new Dark Sun creature catalog, all in August of 2010.
Man, if Junior in high school would have known that,
right?
that would have been cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, that is where the love for Dark Sun kind of falls off because this was not pulled over into 5th edition. And sadly, since 4E, we have not had any official Dark Sun materials for 5th edition or 5.5. But as we mentioned, there are plenty of places where one can go get their fix of Dark Sun materials should they happen to want to. But, maybe 5.5 will bring that back over, though I highly doubt it at this point.
Yeah, I'm not thinking so. At least what we've seen so far, 5.5 wants to give Eberron some more love.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. Eberron's a cool setting. Would love to see where that goes. I just don't see Dark Sun coming back in there.
No.
I imagine Spelljammer will probably get some more as well, because there was a lot of positive player feedback when it was brought back into 5th edition. But yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath for Dark Sun. So in the meantime, atheist.org.
Yes. Yeah, so that was all things Dark Sun that, we could grab for this section. But let's go into detail about the truly terrifying monsters that inhabit the world of Athos and beyond, starting with the Surlon.
The Surlon, yes. Which, of course, because the Dark Sun setting was not created until 2nd edition, we do not see anything about the Surlon until 2nd edition, because that would honestly be a little strange if a creature made for the setting appeared before the setting. But we digress. So now, obviously, other Dark Sun monsters also we're not going to see till 2nd edition. The first time that Surlons appear is in the 1995 Monsters Compendium, Dark Sun Appendix 2, Terrors of Tyr. Ooh. Now, how does that tie into, Tyr, the Norse god of justice, and, part of the what are they called? The something three? They're the three justice gods. It's Him, Torm, and Elmider. How does that tie in? I don't know. I did not get that far in our research. But it's called It's called Terrors of Tyr. Yay, alliteration. So now, Surlons are said to be extremely intelligent, worm-like humanoids in this edition. And we cannot emphasize enough how worm-like these guys are.
So wormy.
They are so wormy. Yes, the supplement states that they have earthworm-like bodies with arms and legs that are, get this, also worms.
Ew. They're so weird looking.
yeah, they look kind of gross, right? These are shall we say biblically accurate worms?
Yes.
Because like the real-life earthworm, Surlons have a, quote, gaping maw ringed with teeth-like projections, end quote. Now, dear listener, I want you to pause, right? Go and look up a zoomed-in picture of an earthworm's mouth, and you will see what we mean. That is directly translated into this artwork, and it's a little horrifying. Now, if that is, not terrifying enough, their wormy legs also end with toothed maws, and their worm arms have weird black talons at the end. They're wild-looking.
Yes.
They also kind of stand on their bent wormy legs. So standing, they are around 5 feet tall, but in length, they are actually 7 feet long. Okay. Now, like earthworms, Surlons have no eyes and are therefore blind, but they can still see with their other senses. Okay. So, this eventually translates into a form of blind sight, although I don't remember what that's called in 2nd edition. But just because they are hideous monsters does not mean that they don't know how to dress themselves. And in the artwork for them, they are often depicted wearing robes with rich colors like scarlet or purple.
Yeah, it just kind of goes to show that if fate deals you a bad hand and makes you look like a creepy worm creature, at least you can still have some drip, I love the artwork for these. Like, they're so cool looking. They're definitely giving a bit of Mind Flayer vibes, but they got their own thing going on. They're just there living their wormy lives. So
yes, they're living their best wormy life. And what I do like about not all the design, but definitely the 2nd edition design.
Yes.
It's giving aberration.
Yes.
Right. It is giving. I'm not from around here, and I look like that. So good job to whoever the designers were. So now, obviously, that is their appearance. Moving onwards to their lore, they actually have a somewhat rich history in the setting. The passage states that thousands of years ago, Surlons actually used to live on another world. They are not natives to Athos. As a highly evolved and intelligent race, Surlons were constantly on a quest to gain more knowledge and power, with the main goal of developing a means to psychically link all of the members of their race.
Another very mind flayer of them.
Yes, right? It's like, okay, well, the Mind Flayers have an elder brain. Why can't we have an elder brain?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately for the Surlons, the attempt that they made to link all of their consciousness together caused a massive psionic backlash that tore a hole in the astral plane. It was, Mom, we have elder brain at home. And then the next thing you know,
They burned down the kitchen.
yeah, exactly. Kitchen's burned down. There's a wormhole. Weird stuff is coming through it. Not good. Don't try to make an elder brain
Worms are coming through the wormhole.
Exactly. And not in the way they intended. So the Surlons that survived this cataclysmic event and then, the initial fallout in the chaos were sucked into the rift and then thrown into the astral plane where they now reside, attempting to rebuild to their former glory. Which, our research into different aspects of Spelljammer and the astral plane, there's a lot of that happening in the astral plane. A lot of things in there that are like, nah, man, we used to be something.
And they're all just destroying each other and then rebuilding and then destroying each other again. It's very...
Yeah, destroying, rebuilding. There's also a lot of just husks of dead gods there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're the Gith, you live in those. But anyways, in a silver lining, living in the astral plane makes doing research a lot easier, since more areas are now accessible to the Surlons. The planet of Athos is of particular note to them because of its ability to withstand high amounts of the same psionic energy that destroyed their original home, right? They're like, haha, we can't do this twice. And also because a Surlon's typical lifespan is around 1,500 years. They also have plenty of time to research.
A long time.
Even if they're not on the astral plane. Yes, long time. Good for them, bad for the rest of sentient life. Because when we talk about their ecology and society, Surlons are said to be carnivores that, quote, feed on the flesh of living creatures, especially that of other sentient races, and, quote, particularly, I'm sure you could guess, humans.
That's very original D&D. I don't understand why they do this constantly. They're like, oh, these guys eat humans. Like, that's just... Carnivores eat humans. Like, that's just... Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it was scary the first couple times, but if everybody eats humans, nobody does. Wait, it doesn't work.
No. Everybody's a vegan now.
Yeah, everybody's vegan now. But I will say, in a kudos to the designers, they said that Surlons also really like to eat, weirdly enough, halflings.
Fair.
So okay, yeah. They're doing their own version of stuff. It would seem.
Oh no.
Oh no! It's so much horrible because of their wormy mouths. And it's not for fun. Look at our Hill Giants episode for stuff. So now, typically, Surlons are at the top of the food chain due to their intelligence. But there is one creature that actually considers Surlons to be a delicacy. And those are rocks, okay? Now...
ROC.
Yeah, ROC, right? Now, if you don't know what a rock is, I'm sure you can imagine, dear listener, what kind of animal a rock looks like. And that's right. It's a gigantic bird, right? You're exactly correct. Not an elemental. Yeah. Not an elemental. Not from the plane of Earth. Now, specifically, rocks are birds that are so big that they can fight dragons, which is what they were made for back during ancient Astoria. But this is not a Giants episode, nor is it a Rocks episode. So we will talk more about those in the future. But, just know that if you're a Sirlon and you see a gigantic bird shadow, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. Don't get up early is all we should
Yeah.
say.
The early rock gets the weird earthworm guy. Now, unfortunately for rocks, however, Sirlons are rarely seen on the prime material of Aethys, and like elementals, are really only found on said plane when they are summoned there by the Summon Planar Creatures spell. Okay. Now, evil psionicists and magic users in search of more knowledge and power will often summon Sirlons in hopes of gaining some of the valuable information that the Sirlon has attained over the millennia, right? Not only can they live a really long time, but they also live in the astral plane, and time works a little different there.
Yeah.
We'll get to that, but yeah, let's just say that, your 1,000-year-old Sirlon might be even older than that. Now, however, also like elementals, Sirlons resent being summoned, and will turn on their summoner almost immediately. This is even more unfortunate due to the fact that, unlike the Summon Elemental spell, which allows the user to have control over the elemental so long as they maintain their concentration, right? Remember we talked about this in the Fire Elementals episodes. The Summon Planar Creature spell, as it states in the Psionics handbook, is merely a teleportation spell.
So evil. Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us about the spell.
Yes. Quote, to be rid of the creature, the psionicist must banish it, teleport it again, kill it, or control it somehow. You didn't build that into the spell. Whoever made this spell,
Yeah.
I have questions. I have questions.
Not
for
a very
you.
good wizard. No.
It's not. Yeah. Not a wizard. Intelligence might have been high enough. Needed some more wisdom. Is all I'm saying. Now, if the summoned creature is intelligent, the psionicist might reason with it. However, the creature is almost certain to fly into a murderous rage when it discovers its plight. End quote. And murderous rage indeed, because should the summoner attempt to kill or send the summoned Sirlon back, then the summoned Sirlon or other Sirlons, right, doesn't even have to be the one that you summoned, will track down the summoner and, quote, force them to pay what is due. End quote, right? It's very much the second edition version of I heard what you said.
Yeah. Yeah, it's specifically like, I'm coming back for you.
Yeah, I'm coming
watch
for
out.
you. Yeah, exactly. They show up in their fancy robes. They throw the magic user in the back of, I don't know, the wagon. What's the equivalent of the back of the car, right? We're gonna bury you with the fishes, mob style. I assume they just eat them.
I think so. Or they make
Yeah.
them slaves because, aberrations love slavery.
Yes. Much like the Confederacy, aberrations love slavery. Oh no. That means somewhere canonically there's a Sirlon flying the stars and bars. Oh no. Nobody make that.
Please make that. Please.
Artists out there, maybe do make. I don't know. That's bad.
That's just their robes. Their robes are the
Yes.
Confederate flag.
Where's Space Abraham Lincoln when you need him? Okay, moving on to stats. In this book, there are actually 3 different types of Sirlons, which is cool that, they introduce this creature and they're like, and here are variants. Good
Yeah.
job. Love that. So we get the regular Sirlon, the Sirlon Adept, and the Giant Sirlon. Because, why only have regular size things when you can have a giant version? Now, regular Sirlons have an armor class of 4. Remember, we're still doing Thaco, so that's good. 7 hit dice, and then a movement rate of 9. Okay?
Slow.
Not very fast, but, they're wormy. All right? When was the last time you saw a worm sprint? Hopefully never. That's all I'm saying. If you did...
Not like that spider.
Yeah. Yeah. That spider. It's dead now. It's good. Now, as mentioned, they are extremely smart creatures with a genius level intelligence of 17 to 18. And remember, your average intelligence creature is a 10. right?
Yeah.
So very smart. And then because of their ability to strategize, they have an elite level morale score of 15 to 16, okay? Which remember, morale score is how hard or easy is it to scare this creature off when you start, beating it up, basically. Okay. So now, typically, Surlons communicate via telepathy, right? But to each other, they can also communicate in their own language, which consists of grunts and squeals, which, once again, for a worm, that's horrifying. I would almost prefer that it just talks, but
Yeah.
this is space stuff.
Always
And
with the weirdness.
yeah. You're like, what do you want, a normal aberration? What is this? The prime material? Get the fuck out of here. Now, as you have probably surmised based off of our description, they are lawful evil in alignment, right? Most things that like chomping on people aren't nice.
Yeah.
Or, they're just animals. And obviously, these are not animals. Now, when we get into the nitty gritty, that is the Surlon's psionic abilities, right? Just
Here we go.
buckle in, folks.
Yeah.
Bear with us here. The typical Surlons have spells, which, as we said, in this setting are sciences and devotions, okay? And these are coming from the telepathy, psychoportive, and psychometabolic categories, okay? Now, some of these sciences, which are spells, include mass domination, banishment, and life draining. And then some of the devotions are id insinuation, great name, ego whip, also very cool, astral projection, enhanced strength, and flesh armor, which I have to wonder, does that mean that they turn their flesh into armor, or does that mean they conjure armor out of flesh?
Ooh.
Yes.
Question.
Like, on the one hand, it's like, this is cool bark skin. On the other hand, it's like, oh, sweet, body horror. Yeah.
Just an extra layer of like worms. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. At some point, I will have to read the devotion description, but I didn't do that. So I see flesh armor. I just have questions. So now, Surlons prefer to fight psionically because obviously they have pretty developed psionic abilities, but they can engage in physical combat should the need arise. They have 2 claw attacks that can do 3d4 points of damage each, and a bite attack that can do 2d8 points of damage, right?
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, that artwork's not just for show, right?
Yeah.
They gave them claws and teeth for a reason. Now, because of their strong psionic protections, Surlons are pretty tough to hit, right? We talked about that armor class of 4. So not only do they have that high natural AC, but they can only be hit by a +1 or better magical weapon, or by a creature with at least 6 hit dice, okay? So if you are a low-level creature, you're a low-level adventurer, you're probably not going to land a hit on this thing. As we've talked about endlessly, earlier editions were pretty unforgiving for low-level characters, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you're just a guy.
You are just a guy.
You're just a guy.
Just a fighting man.
Yeah. yes. So, you see Surlon and you're under level 5, just run away.
Yeah.
On top of this, they also have a 40% magic resistance and are immune to all sleep, charm, and hold spells. So, you try to put it to sleep. No, you don't. You try to, take control of its body. No, you don't. Too wormy. You
smart.
could say it. Yeah, too smart. You could say, Jayde, that it wriggles out of those situations. Okay, so now for their attacks, Surlon adepts have the same psionic abilities as the. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Yes, we have Surlon adepts and then giant Surlons. Okay, the Surlon adepts are literal, natural-born leaders. They are born extra smart with a super genius intelligence of 19 to 20, which I thought super genius was high. No, this is super genius.
Yeah.
And then they have a greater natural psionic ability, right? So Surlon adepts are raised to be the leaders and the protectors of their small communities, okay? So in order to help their communities, some Surlon adepts will become astral explorers, okay? So they search throughout the astral plane looking for new sources of food, and labor. Slavery. Yes, Jefferson Davis Sirloin.
Sounds very, very pirate,
It does, which, like, looking at their artwork, you would not think that. But
I want to get them in a pirate outfit now. Someone with drawing skills, specifically the 2E sirloins. You'll see why.
Yes, draw Confederate sirloin, derogatory, and then pirate sirloin, cool.
Yeah.
So now these exploration parties were usually made up of 2d4 sirloin adepts, right? So you put all the geniuses into a spaceship, and then they just go looking for stuff to eat and people to enslave.
What could go wrong?
Yes, what could go wrong? Hopefully everything, because they're very evil.
Yes.
So now, for attack, Sirloin adepts have the same psionic abilities as the regular Sirloin, with the added science category of clairsentience, okay, right? I assume we're seeing the future and messing with it, which then gives them sciences and devotions like clairvoyance, danger sense, and no location, which I assume very important when you're trying to make your way through the astral plane, to know where things are.
Yeah.
They're also stronger in their physical stats. They have an armor class of 3, 12 hit dice, and 50% magic resistance. So, just extra beefy, extra worminess to them. Their melee attacks also hit for a bit more, now doing 3d6 for each claw attack and 3d8 for their bite. Okay? And then we have giant sirloins, which, as the name implies, are extra large sirloins that were the result of absorbing massive amounts of psionic energy when their world was destroyed. Okay, so much so that they grew both in size and psionic ability. Right? They're like a sponge for psychokinetic destructive power.
True.
So now surprisingly, these giant sirloins have the same level of intelligence as regular sirloins, and then they get the same psionic abilities as sirloin adepts, right? In addition to the specific abilities that they get, right? So, like, it's not necessarily it's just all the way better. No, it's kind of a mishmash of both, right? But to balance that, they have the added bonus of just being bigger and stronger than either of the other sirloins, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was very, very surprised that they did that, because usually when there's a variant that's like a bigger version of the smaller, smarter ones, this one's gonna be dumb. But no, this one's pretty smart. So don't underestimate it. Yeah.
No, still not a wizard. Somehow worse, mind wizard.
Yeah, true.
Psychic wizard. Don't tell the gift. They hate that. We'll get to that. Now, because of this mutation, most regular sirloins see these creatures as cursed monsters, okay? Which is also very interesting, right? Normally, like, the big dumb ones, it's like, yeah, we'll put you to work as brutes, as big manual laborers. And here it's like, nope, you're terrifying. Get the fuck out of here.
Leave.
No,
Yeah.
Yes. So, most of the time, giant sirloins just live alone, right? Now, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, that's so sad. They live alone. I feel bad. No, because there are some instances of giant sirloins ruling over their own sirloin communities, assuming they don't get, driven out, ostracized. But unlike the adepts, right, which are natural-born leaders and are trying to do what's best for, their worm family. I don't know.
Worm society?
Friends. Yeah, their worm society. Yeah, exactly. Giant sirloins, right? They act as tyrants. Quote, ruling as harshly as any sorcerer king ever ruled. End quote. So regular sirloins hate these guys for a reason.
Yeah.
You should hate them too, is all I'm saying. Now, for their stats, they have an armor class of 2, right? Still even more an
Very
improvement.
low.
They have 15 movement instead of 9. Okay, they're worming around. They have 18 hit dice and 60% magic resistance, right? If you thought that the lesser sirloins were just too easy to cast spells against, you just even worse now. Good luck.
I feel like the DM definitely pulls this guy out when they're like, man, that was easy when they kill the regular sirloins. They're like, oh, okay.
Yes. Okay. Fine. Uncasts your magic. Yeah. Now, in terms of their physical size, they are nearly 3 times taller than both the typical sirloin and the sirloin adept, standing at 14 feet high. And they have a nearly fearless morale score of 19. You are not scaring them. They are big, they are strong, and they know it. Now, for attacks, as we mentioned, they get all of the psionic abilities of both sirloins and the sirloin adepts with an extra devotion in the psychometabolic category called double pain, which that sounds cool. I don't know what it does, but it sounds cool. And they also get a whole other science category of psychokinesis, where they get sciences like disintegrate and telekinesis, right? They can pick you up, they can throw you across the room, and also just reduce you to dust. Which, if you know anything about worms, dirt, dust, they love it.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to make you part of my
Psionically
house now.
delicious.
Psionically delicious. Now, as for their melee attacks, their claw attacks do 3d8 damage each, okay? And then their bite does 3d10. So, yeah, just another scaling up of damage there. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Now, later in 1998, all 3 types of sirloins return in a Monsters Compendium for Planescape, aka the Planescape Appendix 3, where we see the sirloins stay mostly the same, except for a few lore changes to their origins and their ecology. Big difference is the way sirloins now play a larger role in the Astral Plane, now that they're not solely tied to Dark Sun, right? Which, cool that they're in Dark Sun, but I mean, these are space critters, right?
Right, yeah.
They yearn for, I guess, the crystal sphere. Well, really, to get out of it. Yes, fetch me my Spelljammer. Now, their origin still ends with the sirloins blowing up their original world through large amounts of psionic energy, but the goal behind this failed experiment changed from them attempting to create one giant hive mind to them messing around too much with self-experimentation, right? This is the same experimentation that resulted in the creation of giant sirloins, which we kind of liked this better because now this is less mind flayer and more body horror.
Yeah.
Which, as we said earlier, aberrations fit really nicely into, a lot of elements of body horror. And this is no exception. So now, because of this failed attempt to improve themselves as a species, the sirloin's goal, now that they're in the astral plane, is not to once again to attempt to create a hive mind, right? Not doing that. Hive mind at home. Nope. The elephants have that. Their new goal is said to be the utter destruction of the Githyanki, which, as the passage states, now makes sirloins the 3rd group in the astral sea.
I'm sure there's more, but those are the 3 that I count.
Yes, we'll learn more as we go more into Spelljammer. But the 3rd group in the Astral Sea that has beef with the Gith. Okay, now compared to Mind Flayers or the Githzerai, sirloins are probably the most dangerous threat to Githyanki society. Which depending on what side of the playing field you're on, you might be okay with that. Remember, the Githyanki don't exactly play nice with other mortal beings, but it just depends. Really, it depends how much do you hate Mind Flayers. But as the passage states, quote, quick, name the greatest threat to the Githyanki race and their continued dominance of the astral plane. The Illithids? Wrong. The Githzerai? Guess again. No, the most dangerous of the Githyanki's foes are actually the sirloins. While the Githyanki busy themselves with their eternal feuds with other races, the sirloins, hyper-intelligent, worm-like psionicists, slowly spread throughout the Silver Void, establishing fortress-like communities not unlike those of the Githyanki themselves.
Ooh.
End quote. Yes, right? And they don't even need a Lich Queen to make them do it.
True, yeah. They don't have a Elder Brain, a Lich Queen. They're just all working together, living together.
Yeah, just warming it up.
Just working.
They're like, we're self-sufficient, weird wormy things. Now, other than their origin changing, we also get some new additions to the sirloin's reproduction, which before you even start, folks, we're basing or at least the designers were basing this off of real-life earthworms. So, Surlons are described as hermaphrodites, aka creatures that have both female and male gametes that allows them to reproduce without needing a mate of a different sex, right? They're like, I want kids, boom, I have them.
Which will be a mom today.
yes. Today I'll be a non-gendered mother. Yes, I'll be
Very
both
progressive
parents.
of them. They're the communist, genderless
Yes, a
worm
communist
beings.
genderless society that are worms that also want to enslave and eat everything they come across. You know,
They're
progressive.
complicated.
Maybe, yeah, exactly. They've got baggage. So now a Surlon is said to give birth to a litter of birth to a litter of dozens of young once in its life. Gross. You know, yeah, just, you know, a bunch of little wriggling bebbits. They will give birth and then raise the young on a remote planet off the astral plane, right? So you got to leave the astral plane to make the bebes. Now, why is this? Well, due to the nature of the astral plane, which stops aging and stops hunger for those who live there, they will be bebes forever. Nobody wants that, right? The non-gendered worm mom dad doesn't want that, right? They want to raise the next generation of, you know, horrible enslaving psionic worm creatures. So, you know, once they get off of this plane, right, just like anything else that leaves it, Surlons will immediately start to grow older and feel hunger, right? You know, they will progress into maturity, right? Which we didn't see how long that takes from this passage. They're like, yeah, they just get older.
I think that's established in later editions, but yeah.
Yes. Oh, we're not going to get into it in this episode, folks, but just wait till you see how their life cycle changes. Jesus Christ. Yes. Now, but, you know, as we said, though, as established in the previous supplement, Surlons live for over 1,000 years. So aging a few decades, you know, keeping an eye on the kids, it's not going to significantly alter their lifespan. Now, which Jayde, you're not going to believe this. We are at 1 hour and 4 minutes.
How? Oh my god. Well, fair enough. All right. Let's close it off, I guess.
Yes. So, you know, that is our introduction, right, into the dark sun setting. And one of the interesting denizens who lives there, even though they're from space. We will, of course, talk more about these horrifying wormy beings in part 2. But for now, we'd like for you to picture this. So, what exactly are we flying into? Feriara stood at the crowded table and stared down at the detailed map, trying to memorize the topography of the small asteroid as best she could. Mining operation, replied Captain Octavia. R Silica 13B, or Sil Slab, as the mining guilds lovingly call it. The outpost was established by House Zudrick and dealt in your standard fare, iron, silicate, salt, until about 10 years back, when they found veins of adamantium.
So we're protecting some high-value investments, huh? Sprocket mused. Seems like something a standard mercenary outfit would handle. How'd we get the job?
Glad you asked, sailor. About 6 months ago, the adamantium shipments from the outpost suddenly stopped. Nobody's heard heads or tails from them since. A small group of voidfarers were hired a month ago to investigate. Only one returned, with no recollection of what had happened to their shipmates. The only thing the poor bastard could remember, Captain Octavia said, gesturing to a piece of parchment next to the map, was this. Feriara looked again at the hand-drawn picture. It depicted a creature with a tube-like body, 4 legs with hoofed feet, arms that ended in 3-fingered hands, and a head with a lamprey-like mouth. What the hell's is that thing? That would be Professor Dulketh's area of expertise. The Githyanki across the table cleared her throat as she tightened the kerchief that held back her braided hair.
Thank you, Captain. By my estimation, this disgusting life form seems to be a Surlon. Like the much-hated Geich, They are strong in the ways of psionics and can directly assault an intelligent being's psyche, driving them to act against their will or killing them outright with raw psychic energy.
Feriara felt her jaw tighten. She was no stranger to unwanted intrusions into her mind.
Due to their mastery of mental magic, the Surlong can beguile the senses of other beings and appear as creatures other than their hideous selves. They are as dangerous as they are Kaincha and should be killed on sight. Unfortunately for us, that is often easier said than done.
We intend to make use of the element of surprise while we figure out what is happening on Sil Slab. Feriara, you will drop with a 4-man team to the surface of the asteroid to investigate. Captain Octavia handed the drow a small stone carved in the likeness of a talking face. Keep us abreast of anything you find, keeping operational security, of course. Aye, ma'am. Feriara nodded. Quartermaster Galbraith will give the signal when it's time for the Myopsidae to come and retrieve you all. Per standard procedure, if the target xenobioform is encountered and terminated, the extermination team is to bring back proof that it has indeed been killed.
Of course, mum,
Maximilian said with a quick salute.
we'll get this thing sorted toot sweet, and be back in time for tea.
A word of caution, Gif.
Dalkath warned.
These are intelligent, cunning creatures. If you encounter anyone down there, they could be under the Surlon's thrall, or worse, one of the overgrown worms in disguise. Keep your wits about you and trust no one.
Thanks for joining us on Browsing the Bestiary. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts for more episodes, and check out our Patreon at Browsing the Bestiary. If you want even more pod-related content, you can find us on TikTok and YouTube.
On Patreon, you can keep up to date on any new pod-related announcements, access reference pages for each episode, and download character sheets for characters featured in our story times. You can also comment on what you think the next monster will be, and if you get it right, you'll get inspiration.
And if you're something of a lore master yourself, you can offer us corrections for any facts we got wrong. If you catch something we missed, you may get a shout out in a future episode.
Remember to cite your sources.
And before we go, we'd like to shout out our patrons on Patreon. Thank you to Carl, Holly, Megan, Kethri, Zach, and Dano for becoming members. I'm Dungeon Mistress Jayde.
And I'm Lore Master Andy.
Until next
time,
May your dice rolls be high.
and your adventurers ever prepared.